In this video, I'll teach you how to make these palazzo pants with side pockets step by step. If it is something you're interested in, then stay with me till the end of this video. I use 4 yards of fabrics for this style, including the palazzo and the pocket with the Bubu gown. Let's get started. We're starting from the top, which is the bubu, which I already cut out using the length of the bubu that I'm working, which is 40 inches plus seam allowance is 40 inches. So the length of this bubu is 40 inches. I folded 40 inches in 2 places, then I folded it into 4. So now we'll start by inserting our neck measurement. I used 4 by 4, 4 inches wide and 4 inches depth for this neck, and I'm just going to be connecting these to create the neck measurement. So that is basically what I'm doing here, 4 inches wide and 4 inches depth for the neckline. After I'm done with the neck measurement, I'm just going to come to the other end of this fabric because we're using the entire length. It's bubu, so the sleeves has to be long. So we're using the entire length for the sleeves. So the waist measurement here is 8 inches, divided by 2 is 4 inches. But because we don't want it to be tight, so I'll be making it 10 inches, divided by 2, 5 inches. So I'm just placing 5 inches here for the waist measurement. That is where your hand is going to come out from, and I'm just going to notch that part. Now you can decide whatever you want here. You can cut this place into 2 and just put a straight stitch on it, or just run a straight stitch like that without cutting it open or without cutting it into 2 like I'm doing here. You can as well just leave it like that with no stitches at all on that shoulder area. So this is the shoulder. I'm just cutting it into 2, and after then I'm just going to run a straight stitch on it. That is more like joining the shoulders together, but you can choose to just leave it like that if you want. Now open it up and place the front and the back piece on top of each other. Remember the front side facing the front side before you stitch. So place the 2 pieces together and run a straight stitch on the shoulder. Also come to the sleeves and just hem it up to that 5 inches you marked earlier where you notched, and just close the vest all the way down. Hem the down part as well just by folding it in and run a straight stitch. There is nothing really much on the bubu. That is almost done already. Now take one of the pieces to create the button space. Remember that both the front and the back pieces has the same neck measurement, so you can take any of the pieces. Now come fold it into 2, fold that piece into 2 equally, and come to the middle to measure 4 inches down. That is going to be this button space. Measure 4 inches down and cut it up to that 4 inches. Yeah, cut it up to that 4 inches. That is to give more space for your head to pass through while you're trying to wear this, because we're not fixing zip on this, is just button. Now let's see what we have. So this is going to be the back piece, and the other piece is going to be for the front. So this is it. Now let's cut the palazzo. I cut this piece out by using the length of the palazzo. Also the wideness is the lap measurement divided by 2 plus extra 2 inches. So if your lap measurement is 30 divided by 2, that is 15 inches, plus 2, that is going to be 17 inches. So that is basically how I cut the wideness of this piece. So the length of this palazzo is 38 inches plus seam allowance. So I make everything 40 inches, including this hem allowance, so 40 inches. Now let's start imputing our measurement. The waist to hip measurement is 13 inches minus 2 inches, which is going to be for the band, so 11 inches. So waist to hip that I used here is 11 inches. By the time we add 2 inches for the band to it, is going to be 13 inches. To the crotch line is 14 inches. So 11 inches for the hip and 14 inches for the crotch line. Hip measurement is 50 inches divided by 4, that is 12.5, plus extra 2 inches for ease and seam allowance, 14.5. So I'm measuring 14.5 from the waist all the way to the crotch line. So the waist too has to be big because we're using elastic band. So by the time you add the band, it's still going to be perfect on the person's waist. Come to the crotch line and insert the thigh measurement divided by 2. For this person is 30 inches divided by 2, 15 inches plus extra 1 inch for ease, that is 16 inches. So I mark 16 inches on the crotch line. So now we're just going to create that curve. Just watch as I'm doing here. Come in by 1 inch to help you create that curve. So look at that. From the waist all the way to the hip, then to the crotch line, to that 16 inches for the thigh. Now come to the end part of the trouser, I mean the down part, and I'm going to be inserting the hip measurement. Remember the hip measurement is 50 divided by 4, that is 12.5. So I am marking 12.5 here. Same measurement I have on the hip, I'm marking it here, 12.5. So I added extra 1 inch as well for the seam allowance. Added extra 1 inch. So everything total I have here is 13.5 inches. And I'll just be connecting that 13.5 all the way to the thigh measurement on the crotch line. So that is basically what we'll be doing next. From here to this place. And I am going to cut it out. We're done with the front piece of the palazzo. We're just going to be placing this on another piece of material to cut out the back piece. After placing the front piece on another piece of material to cut out the back piece, so I extended the couch line by 3 inches. You can make yours just 2 inches, is fine, but I make this one 3 inches because this person has big butt, so I want her butt to sit comfortably. That is why I extended it by 3 inches, and I just blended that 3 inches to the hip measurement. I mean, to the previous measurement you have on the front piece. I just blended it together. That one goes to the hip and the rest goes to the rest part of the trouser. I mean the down part of the trouser. It's really not difficult. By the time you start it, you will see that it's one of the easiest things that you can do. Just blend it by making a slanted line from the tie, that is a crotch line, to the down part of the trouser. Then cut it out. Now take the front piece and cut it into two to create the side seam. Do the same thing for the back as well. You can pin your fabrics together to prevent it from shifting before cutting. Now I am just going to take the front piece and come to the crotch line and come down by 1 inch. The back has to be higher, slightly higher than the front. So come down by 1 inch and just blend it to the side seam. Do not touch the side seam. Just blend it to that side seam and cut it out. That is just to make the back a bit higher. than the front. And that's all for both the front and the back pieces of the palazzo. Now we'll be cutting the waistband. For the waistband, the elastic band I'm using is about 2 inches. So the wideness of this band that I cut is 5 inches. So divided by 2.5, that is enough for the elastic band and also the seam allowance. That is 5 inches. So that is all for the belt. The length I have here is about 60 inches. So just use it. If you have excess left, just trim it out. Now the pocket. I have 4 pieces of material cut out here, and the length is 14.5 inches and the width is 10 inches. I won't be explaining much on this pocket because I have a video already on how to sew a pocket on palazzo trouser. So if you haven't seen the video yet, the link is going to be in the description box under this video. Just watch it for proper explanation. So I decided not to do much explanation here so that this video will not be too long. Just watch what I am doing here. You will still understand. From the 4 pieces of the material, I just took out I took out 2 pieces and just cut out 3 by 8 inches. The 3 inches is goes to the waist and the 8 inches goes to the side seam. Just slanted line. Cut it out, place it on each of the pieces of the front. You know the front has 2 pieces. Place it on top of it and just stitch it together. After stitching, you take the other piece of the pocket, place it underneath and just stitch everything together basically. But I like to pin everything together first just to make sure everything is intact. And cross check my measurement if it's still 3 inches that I cut out from the waist that you replace back with the inner lining of the pocket. It is really simple. Basically, that's all. So just stitch this place together by just trimming the excess here. Feel free to choose any shape that you want here. You can leave it the way it is or just trim it out to make it a bit curvy and also any excess around. And take it to your sewing machine and attach the pockets to the trouser. Now I have fixed the pocket and also joined the 2 pieces for the palazzo, the front piece. I joined the 2 pieces together. I did the same thing for the back pieces as well. And I am just going to be placing both the front piece and the back piece on top of each other and just pin it down on the side seam. Bring it all the way from the waist to the end part of the trouser and take it to my sewing machine and run a straight stitch. Repeat the same thing on the other side of the palazzo. Just run a straight stitch on both sides. So you come to the couch line, come to the middle and pin it together as well. Take it to your sewing machine and just run a straight stitch from that place as well, just to join the front and the back piece of your trouser together, and that's all. Now the trouser is done. We already attached the front and the back pieces together. I fixed the pocket too, and it's really deep, as you can see. It's really deep, and this palazzo is really comfortable. It's very free. I suggest you actually give it a try. So I fixed the band too. As you can see, it is very stretchy and it's going to sit comfortably on the person's body, on the person's waist. I also hem the down parts just by folding it in like 1 inch. So just fold it in and just go on the straight stitch. That's all for the palazzo. For the bubu, I'm done here as well, but this is actually very simple. I didn't really do much on it. Here is the sleeve opening. I just hem it, that's all, on both sides, and I close the 2 sides of the bubu. I use bias tape to pipe the neckline. I use black bias tape, and I did the same thing on the button space as well. I just pipe it with bias tape to give it a nice finishing inside. And here, this is where your button is going to sit. I fixed the button hole already, to just fix your button and you're done. this is the front part of the bobo. You can go ahead and add any design you want to add to it, but I won't be adding any design to this one because this material is a busy one already. So look at how the neckline is looking. I hemmed the down part as well. I hem it all round, and that is all for the bobo. If you find this video really helpful, please subscribe to my channel, like this video as well. If you have any question, drop it in the comment section below. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.